Okay, so I'm at the bench and I just purchased the Lyman 17 AM L. Looks like an I, but I think it's an L. 494-inch high globe sight. And this is the same globe sight that I have on the White Mountain carbine. And this is the 50 caliber New Englander. So we're gonna fit this into the barrel, into the dovetail. So I'm using a square, triangular file, and I'm just gonna work. Which side is the deepest side? Well, either side seems to be the same. I think I'm gonna work the inside towards the breech. Well, I'm sure I should have this secured like I have the barrel, but I'm a real physical type guy. And with that being said, I kind of have to feel what I'm doing, because if I don't, that detachment kind of leads to me going overboard. So, which I have done. Excuse me, which I have done on several of these dovetail sites. Excuse my ice maker going off. The one thing that I have noticed about changing out sights and working with dovetails is that, oh well, actually, when it comes to any and all things with black powder, is that it's not an exact science. So we're doing a fitting. So basically this is gonna have to, this raised edge here is gonna have to come down some. So I'll take a flat file and I want the sight to point this way. So, and since the dovetail is slimmer on this side than it is on this side, I have to work it here. And all I'm doing is just taking down this front edge. And maybe there's a better way. And if anybody has a comment on a better way to do this, please let me know. Because I have basically, when it comes to this stuff, this is basically all self-taught. You know, I get suggestions from my mentor. Of course, that's what, it's not what he's supposed to do, but that's what he does. He gives me suggestions on how to do things. But a lot of things I do, I really, I'm not going to say I don't want a suggestion because I do. All the help I can get is appreciated, but I learn by doing. And a lot of times when I make the mistakes, it teaches me basically how to not do them again. I think this file is a little bit too aggressive. Yeah. So, I want to make sure that you guys are actually getting this so you can see my nonsense. But, you know what? I will show you. I don't know if I have it. No, it's up there. I'll show you in a second. What I mean about making the mistakes. Okay. Oh, I think that's good enough to kind of get her started. Yes. No. It's one thing I learned. One thing I also learned is that when you're working in the site is hitting there. When you're working in the site, if it's off in any way, the site will sit up high in a dovetail instead of sitting flush. And that's not good from what I have seen and been told. So I'm just trying to remove enough material to get the site started. And I know I need to kind of, maybe I need, I believe this is the, See, there's one file that's highly aggressive, and then there's one that's not as aggressive. And so I just switched to the one that's not as aggressive. And people would think, you would think, well, isn't all of this common knowledge? But no, not for a person that has just begun. That's it. That's it right there. Yes. Yes. And how I use, I'll look to the side and see if there's any gap. And there is not. So let me show you something real quick. Okay. So this is the site. This also is a Lyman Globe site. It has a 0.404 base, but it's unusable, and it's because of this. This is what I did to this site when I first started drifting dovetail sites into these dovetails. I had never done it before, so I'm thinking that you're supposed to angle it so that you get it in, which is what I just did to this, but not as aggressively. And because I aggressively used the files and basically took the dovetail off of the site on one side, it basically became unusable. That's one. And here's the other. And as you can see, this is actually the first one. This is the second one. This one I actually used. It was on the White Mountain carbine, and it was in there. It stayed in a dovetail slot, but it was slightly raised, and it was off a little bit where you can't drift. Once you do this, there's no drifting this site from left to right at any point, because once you start trying to drift it, it's going to come out. This one is even worse. It doesn't look as bad, but it is, because I basically flattened out this one side. If you can see that, I flattened out this side here, so it doesn't stay. And I tried to drift it in and tried to get it to stay. It wouldn't stay. So these are two sites that I basically mangled because I had to learn how to drift sites. And so here we are. So now let's go ahead and drift this in. So I want to and something else I learned. Well, something else that I did is that when I'm drifting these sites, I tend to beat up on the barrel itself, and I know I should have something protecting this, but if you beat on it enough, okay, yeah, it's going. If you beat on it enough, you learn not to be so rough with it. So I'm just trying to, in actuality, what I also did, and I'm just gonna lay it out there. As a novice, not knowing exactly what I'm doing, I actually have kind of altered the dovetail slot, thinking that that would make it easier to drift in sights. Don't do that. Take it from me. I have an Antonio Zoli Buffalo Hunter where I altered the dovetail slot so much that now whatever sight that I put in there is going to have to be soldered in, or I'm going to have to solder in a blank and then reshape it and then recut it, which I think is a little bit above my pay grade. So I might have a gunsmith take care of that. But I had to learn. So now that I've gotten this to where I'm a little bit less than halfway through, let me let me get the punch and then use the flat side. All right. Baby. Okay. Let's see if we can do that again. All right.
Not bad. Center but high.
Ah, man. Consistency. God.
We'll get there.
Yeah, man. Okay. All right. Shot number 3.
How often do you have to clean it after? Like how many shots?
I usually go because I asked Oki the same thing. So I'm gonna go after 4 shots, and I'll swab the barrel. All right.
You go.
Okay. All right. All right. One more. You might just be good luck for me, man.
That's because I don't bother you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's 4.
Hey, not a bad group right there.
No, not at all. You're just lucky we took away Oki's cattle prod.
All right. So after 5 shots, everything seems to be kind of shading to the right a little bit. So, and only in black powder beginner fashion, I am going to mess with stuff, basically. But I did bring my glasses today, so I can actually see what I'm doing while I'm messing with the site.
Almost. Think of that.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
How about it?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. I just nicked the red. Okay. Now the trick is see if I can do that again,
Yeah,
which
it's possible.
is a pretty tough trick for me.